time. The power is ours, no one else is, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, so compatriot. When we all contribute our quota, little drops of water makes us greater. No matter how far we've gone, we can get better. Harnessing our wealth, one business at a time. The power is ours, no one else is, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, to compatriot. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. We're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Giant rise again.
Nigeria,
let Nigeria stand up.
Nigeria,
Think, make and grow Nigeria.
Nigeria,
Hey, one business at a time we change Nigeria. When you think you can make, you can grow. Let's make Nigeria great. Doesn't matter what you do, let's make Nigeria great.
Nigeria,
Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. Making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Yeah. When we all contribute our quota, little drops of water makes us greater. No matter how far we've gone, we can get better. Harnessing our wealth, one business at a time. The power is ours, no one else's, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, so compatriot. When we all contribute our quota, little drops of water makes us greater. No matter how far we've gone, we can get better. Harnessing our wealth, one business at a time. The power is ours, no one else's, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, to compatriot. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Let a giant rise again. Let Nigeria stand up. Think, make and grow Nigeria. Hey, one business at a time, we change Nigeria. When you think you can make, you can grow. Let's make Nigeria great. Doesn't matter what you do, let's make Nigeria great. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. Making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Yeah. When we all contribute our quota. Little drops of water makes us greater. No matter how far we've gone, we can get better. Harnessing our wealth, one business at a time. The power is ours, no one else's, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, so compatriot. When we all contribute our quota, little drops of water makes us greater. No matter how far we've gone, we can get better. Harnessing our wealth, one business at a time. The power is ours, no one else's, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, to compatriot. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Let a giant rise again. Let Nigeria stand up. Think, make and grow Nigeria. Hey, one business at a time, we change Nigeria. When you think you can make, you can grow. Let's make Nigeria great. Doesn't matter what you do, let's make Nigeria great. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. Making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Yeah. When we all contribute our quota, little drops of water makes us greater. No matter how far we've gone, we can get better. Harnessing our wealth, one business at a time. The power is ours, no one else's, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, so come patriot. When we all contribute our quota, little drops of water makes us greater. No matter how far we've gone, we can get better. Harnessing our wealth, one business at a time. The power is ours, no one else's, we recognize it. That's why we in this conference and exhibition to ignite change, think, make and grow Nigeria. That's our call to greatness, to come patriot. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Only we can make Nigeria great. No one else can change our nation's fate. When we're making Nigeria, we make Nigeria. Try and rise again. Let Nigeria stand up.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last day. Today is the third day of the Making Nigeria 2020. It's been quite a journey, and I'm sure that you've been equipped with the necessary tools that you need to take bold steps and what you need to move, to scale, to localize, to think, to execute in your various space or in your various spaces. Thank you so much for being here. Today is going to be a little bit different this evening. We're going to be having the panel session first, and then we'll move to our keynote speaker. All right, so welcome everyone. I trust that you've all been good. I think you might want to send someone a message if you know someone that should be here that isn't here already. Send them a message, call them, say something. All right, to call them, send them a message, say something to them, and let them know that we're up and we've started. Okay, if you applied for the grant, it's important that you know that we'll be announcing your names, the names of the qualifiers later today. So you need to be in this meeting till the very end. Okay, so I'd like to know that you're hearing me. So let me know where you're tuning in from, what state you're tuning in from. Just type it in the chat box quickly. Type where you're watching from. Okay, I see Port Harcourt. Welcome, Ikena from PH. I see Lagos. Welcome, Ola Dotun Idowu from Lagos. Just let us know where you're tuning in from or where you're watching from. Okay, Usman from Kano. Um, type where you're tuning in from in the chat box. Okay, from your castle in Port Harcourt. I see you. All right. Okay, thank you, everyone. Now we're going to be talking about teams, structures, and funding. Okay, team structures and funding. The keynote is going to start in the next 26 minutes, 6:30. Olakule Shorin is around and he's going to be taking a keynote session by 6:30 on the dot. So this is going to be a quick panel, but I think it's going to be important that we get the basics down so that we can move forward. Okay, let me know if you can hear me. You can hear me, right? Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, great, Usman. Thank you. We're having a bit of network issues down here. And so the topic that we're discussing is critical to anything that you want to build. We're talking about teams, we're talking about structures, and we're talking about funding. And the people that we're having to discuss this are people that have gone ahead to do things like this, that have worked in teams, that have put structures in place, and people that understand the mechanism of funding. So today I'm going to start with Mr. Boma. I mean, the people we have in the panel need no introduction. They've been here at least once or maybe twice, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Boma. And the reason I'm starting with you is because yesterday you talked about how you didn't have anything to start from or to start with, except the idea that you had. And so how were you able to raise people that could work with you? How did you do it? Did you get a co-founder? How did you build your team, the team that made what you're currently doing to work? Can you hear me, sir? Are you there? Okay, Mr. Boma is not in the meeting. Okay, I think he's having a bit of network issues, so I'm just gonna ask Mr. Charles. So I think I'll tweak it a little bit. Mr. Charles, how did you raise people, or how did you get people to do business with? And we're starting with the teams part of the topic now. How did you gather your team? What were you looking for? How did you get people? What did you tell them? Did you have to convince them? I mean, what work did you put in place to get a team? Because in your business, you've moved really, really fast. I mean, you've started a number of companies. It's going like papa, 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 this one today and the next one tomorrow. I mean, I know you to be someone that is ruthless with So Charles, can you hear me? Mr. Charles, can you hear me?
I want to return to the Zoom.
Mr. Charles, can you hear me? Clearly? Okay, you're muted. You're muted. I'm going to try to unmute you now. Okay, you're muted again. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. We can all hear you clearly.
All right, awesome. Can you recap the question, please?
Okay, great. So I said you've built companies, and you've built them with great speed. I mean, the speed at which you build your companies is phenomenal. And I know that people have been instrumental in what you're doing. Kindly mute if you're not talking. I'm going to try to mute you, but I can't do that to everyone at the same time. So please just mute your mic if you know that you're not saying anything. Thank you. Okay, so in your business, you've built businesses in the last couple of years, and people have been instrumental in building that. And you are one of the advocates of doing things with people. I mean, doing things together. And so, how were you able to raise your team? Did you raise them with money? Did you raise them by convincing them? Or what were you looking for in people? Or I mean, what was the design or the mechanism around you building the team that made what you're doing now to work?
All right, good evening, everybody. It's
Good evening, sir.
it's a privilege to be back here today with that time for this session. Okay, so what I did first is that I became a person of value. Now everybody's looking for the right person to come to their life, but the question we often don't ask ourselves: are we the right people or the right person for the kind of people we want to attract? So before I even started raising teams and the rest of them, I am a person of value. So I have built a reputation capital, leveraging on what I was doing as a brand expert, consulting and the rest of them. So it was easy. Okay. So I basically, move, talk to people, help them build businesses. And then in the process, it was easy to get people with like minds and then share idea with them and the rest of them. So in a nutshell, is I became a person of value, leveraging on my reputation capital, and then I leverage on that to actually build the team that I actually need. And lastly, is about consciousness. Okay. So a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs just live anyhow. They don't have the consciousness of building relationship. All right. The reverse is the case. Whenever I meet someone, my head is already looping. What is the relevance of this person's competence, advantage, leverage in the intersection to what I'm doing? How can I, be a part of what this person is doing, and how can this person be a part of what I'm doing? So there's a saying that says that rich people, okay, when they meet each other, they say, "What can we do together?" All right. And when poor people meet together, they just laugh and crack jokes. Hmm. Hello, Banji.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I
Yeah.
lost you for a
All
bit,
right.
but I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. So continue.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Now, so what you're saying is before you try to build a team, you need to be a person of value.
Of course.
Okay, so I think everybody needs to write that down, because if you're trying to attract certain people into your life, you need to be the kind of person that they want to be attracted to, and
Of
and,
course.
and it only makes sense because it's just like giving what you're asking for. So, Mr. Boma, can you hear me now? Are you there, Mr. Boma Peters? Okay, just unmute anytime and let me know that you can hear me. Okay, so Mr. Charles, you've built different companies and you run a number of companies at the very same time. If I'd ask, how many companies do you run now?
Uh, about 8.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. So you run 8 companies concurrently and you run them all at the same time. And
Of course.
and you don't even look like you're doing that level of work now. So what structure, how did you design your structure to make running 8 companies at the same time a possibility for you?
Okay. It is pretty much easy. Like I was saying, um, I started with a partnership mentality. All right. A lot of Nigerian entrepreneurs want to have it all. Okay, they want to have 100%. Okay, but when you realize it's in the whole entire scope of, if you check or reverse engineer all the people who are great, from Dangote to Jack Ma to all of these people, you realize that these people have a fundamental value system of partnership. All right. So Bill Gates said, he said, if people make money doing business with you, people will like to do more business with you. So one of the first key thing I did was I had to grow my managerial and competence skill first. Then the second thing was I needed to look for people who have a relevant skill in those companies. All right. And I was not ready to start a company whereby I am all in all of that business. So I needed people with specific discipline. All right. That if I bring them to the business with a certain stake, okay, they will be very, very effective. All right. So I recently started a a small side business. It's called Bizcart. It's an online vast services where people can pay, buy electricity bill, can buy recharge card, airtime, and the rest of it. So the first thing I did was to look for someone with the competence to drive it, all right, and then offer the person a stake in the business, all right. So oftentimes it has worked really well because when people are inclusive, all right, they are more driven. When people are inclusive, they are more participative than when you say you want to run them or on the structure of having to pay, because you'll be incurring a whole lot of overhead. So the second thing is leverage. I do a lot of leverage. Before I start anything, what I do is I ask myself, what do I have? Okay. And who do I have? And what do people that I have, right? So that I can be able to understand the entire scope of my leverage spread. And then before I begin to think, before I begin to plan, I am naturally inclinative to cost management. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because as an entrepreneur in Nigeria, you probably need money to do a lot of things. And then the things you need to do with money, there's so much compared to what is actually coming in, what is actually available at your disposal. So you want to be sure that you want to explore relationship, you want to explore leverage, you want to explore your network capital and the rest of them. So that is basically what we have done. Then thirdly is the fact that you need to trust the people that you are working with. All right. Uh, Life is about trust. Okay. You cannot do anything in life without trust. The reason why you are sitting on that chair is because you have absolute trust that that chair is not going to fall down. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Anything that you do that you don't have absolute trust, that thing will never move faster. It's just like trying to climb a tree that you know that this tree cannot hold the entirety of your weight. All right. You will not climb it because you are pretty much skeptical. Our skepticism slows business growth. You understand? So it's to build trust and give autonomy, which is my fourth point. I gave autonomy for these people while I only provide administrative oversight and intelligence for the business. In my company, my own department is just business strategy. All right, allow the people to do their job from accounting to risk management and the rest of them.
Wow. Thank you. So, I mean, everybody, I hope you took note of that. You need to, before you start a business, you need to take into account everything that is available for you to leverage on. Because the business ecosystem, especially in Nigeria, may not support you with all the things that you probably need. So you need to take initiative and look for everything that is available for you to leverage on relationships, which means that you already should be building relationships. I mean, if you're not building relationships now, you're making a huge mistake. All right, leverage on relationships and don't fail to call on those relationships when you need them the most. Mr. Ma, welcome. I know you can hear me now. I can see your face. Okay, so the question I was asking earlier, now Mr. Charles gave us a perspective, but I'd like to hear your perspective because in your story yesterday, you said that you had almost nothing when you were starting your business. Mr. Charles said he had a couple of things to leverage on, but you were in a deeper position, so to say. And so, what were you able to do to facilitate? How were you able to build your team? Because I know that what you built is not something that you can build alone. And you definitely have a lot of people working with you, working for you. So how did you get a winning team in place?
Okay. Can you hear me loud and clear, first of all?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
My apologies, first of all, for coming a little bit late. I had some technical difficulties. All right. For us, like he was talking about leverage. When we started, we found out our biggest problem was marketing. We could build all the systems, all the code we wanted, but we had an issue with marketing. So after we got the deal with the bank, we still had to hit the road. Even though you have the backing of the bank, you need to let people know that you're there and this is what you do. So what I did was, I had a friend. He has, I think, he's a very popular brand in Port Harcourt. If you've heard of Big Kitchen, he sells burgers and all that. Tekena. So what I did was simple. We started almost about the same time. So he had problems. He had issues with his product representation. When we started at first, the pictures he was taking were not professional. So I said, you know what? I'll take professional pictures for you for your products, all your burgers. So I did the first photo shoot. In return, you will do marketing for me. So what we used to do is I'll put him in the car. I'll drive him. He is very bold. He doesn't. The guy has no shame. Drive him. He'll do all the talking, all the chasing. If they chase, so sometimes I try not to even come out from the car. So that's my own kind of leverage. It helped a lot because I don't think I could have taken that amount of rejection personally when we started. So that was the advantage I had him. So but the issues we had is that he could not really go out in the morning because he had to make bread and all those things. So we usually had to leave by like 1. So we had like maybe 2 hours. So drive, stage to place. I'll just park the car. Sometimes I will pretend like we didn't come together because, man, it is brutal. In Nigeria, they don't know, like, who are you? What do you want? All those things, but he's used to it. So that helps. Then when we started with the bank, I understood that, you see, the bank is a system, but the system are run by human beings, So I began to make, connections. Who is in charge of what? Who does what? Who do I need? So if I need something to be done, I usually don't just rely on maybe my account officer or somebody to help me do it. I need to find out who is the person in charge. Then I get across, try to make the person my friend. So after a while, I could get so much done from not even coming to the bank, from anywhere I am, I make a call, who is in charge, call this, call that. I'll give you an example. Once we had a challenge where some transactions, some things didn't go on properly. And the guy in Lagos was feeling like, because he's in Lagos, it's far, I'm in Port Harcourt, I cannot get across to him. So I made a few calls in his bank, they got me his details. When I called him, he was shocked. It's like, how did you get my number? I told him, as far as this bank, I know everybody that I need to know. So he did what he was doing, but he was dragging his feet. Of course, I called. They gave me his boss's number. I called his boss. His boss called him. He now called me like, you called my boss. I say, if you don't do it, I will call your boss's boss. We'll keep going till you understand it's done. So, structure for me is human beings. I try to have a cordial relationship with the players in the game, because you'll be shocked where the challenge you're having is just for one person to approve. All your problems will go away. All your problems. There's an approval that I needed once. It delayed. There was a lot of protocol involved. What happened was that the guy in charge of South, for the bank, went to Diop to print something for his daughter or so. So as he was printing, he ran out of cash, and he needed to withdraw money to pay, because people said they were not doing all those transfers. As God will have it, they directed him to one of my centers. And this is somebody on a normal day you will not have access to. He's the head of South.
Wow.
So he went there, he saw the thing. He didn't say anything. He didn't even say that we're using his bank's technology. This is dry left. It was on a Saturday. On Monday, they called me from the bank that they've approved my, what I wanted. And at the time, I think I was the only person that had that kind of access. So I could not understand, what happened. Why all of a sudden, from nowhere? Then I began to ask. They said, is this guy in charge of South that approved it? I said, who is the guy? Then we had a meeting once, so they pointed, direction of the guy. So I walked up to him, greeted him. He was not in the mood. He was like, you're not supposed to address me directly. And I said, no, we are so and so. He was like, oh, I've been looking for you people. Did you see my approval? I said, yes. I said, but why did you approve for us? And I explained that when he went, he did transaction, he was charged properly. He liked the the way everything went on. I think they even gave him, because when you do transaction with us, we give you sweet, just a piece of sweet. Give him sweet and all that. So he just said, no, this guy will probably have this kind of issue. And only for him to go and check and true, and apply for an access. So he just approved it. So basically, when you're leveraging on maybe a bank or a bigger organization, you need to understand who is who does what, you need to know the people that are in charge, because at the end of the day, even if, sometimes the boss can give an approval and somebody just decides to frustrate you. So that's what I learned. I try to know as many people within the system as possible. And of course, as you begin to know them, you begin to know who can get what done. Some people are sweet, some people just like to drag their feet. Some people are myopic, some people think far. You begin to understand them, then you navigate, the waters. Because of course, there are a lot of sharks there.
What they might need. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Thank you. I mean, and that just says that you need to. And the first lesson I learned from what you're saying is that you need to understand the areas that you're weak and not try to struggle in those areas. Instead, look for people that are good in those areas and first offer them something before you ask for something from them. And so if you want to make a deal, you need to be making a deal from a strong position, right? Your deal needs to make sense to the person that is going to give you something in return. And that made a lot of sense, what you've done. Do you have co-founders in your business?
When we started, we had a co-founder. But like I said, when I said yesterday, his job, he was in Lagos at the time. His job was to get us the bank, all right?
Okay.
But he couldn't pull that, and that was the only thing he was bringing to the table.
Okay, and since he couldn't pull that off, that was off the deal.
Pull that off, there was no need. Though he was very upset about it, but it was not an emotional move. It was simple.
Move.
He gave you one thing to do: bring in the bank. You could not. So I now said, okay, bring in another bank. I will give you the same percentage we wanted to give you. Unfortunately, still could not. We have other banks on the platform, and it was not. They came based on what they saw we were doing. So that's how he lost out. But of course, at the time we had a co-founder, planning and all that.
And that makes sense. That makes sense. And so before you need to, there has to be an anchor before you give people the share of your business. I mean, you can't just do it for familiarity's sake or for many other sakes that may exist. Mr. Charles, I'm going to ask you this real quick. Now, We talked about this for a bit yesterday, but you just sold a part of your organization, a technology that you built, Fuspay, for I think it was $400,000, and 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 that's a bit of funding. So how were you able to secure funding for that? I know you've talked about relationships a lot, but are there things that we should be doing to enhance the quality of our relationships? Because I think a lot of people are connected. The problem is not whether they know or not know somebody, but how to extract value from that person. Basically, my question is just what has helped you to secure funding at the levels that you have done? Mr. Charles, can you hear me? Okay, you're muted, so I just asked you to unmute. Okay,
Okay.
great.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so if you're in Nigeria and as an entrepreneur and you want to raise fund, there are a couple of things you need to be well aware of. That the Nigerian startup ecosystem is not in the same landscape, that we have outside the country. By just having an idea that is remarkable, all right, and then you being the right team or behind the idea can get you funded. And then you already have a standard for valuation of startup from proceed and all of that. So but in Nigeria it is very, very different, right? So there is no how you can do it that you can take out the concept of credibility out of the equation as far as funding is concerned. All right, because this money you want people to give to you is their sweat. All right, some of them work the hell out of their ass off to actually earn that amount of money, and then you want them to trust you with that fund. All right, so now leave relationship. Okay, now people don't invest in your business because they like you, because they know you. All right. People invest in people. All right. Not idea. Because there are countless ideas that are out there. You know, millions of fintech ideas out there, remarkable, that's groundbreaking. But the thing is, the team behind those ideas, they are not right. So it is difficult to secure fund. Okay. So the first thing anybody wants to actually do is to build credibility. First, credibility in accountability. All right. The first step to being responsible is to be accountable. So if you spend a penny, do you document it, all of that, and the rest of it? Okay. And the second thing is nobody will give you money to build the most important thing that will drive the whole business. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. There must be a kind of minimum viable product that you have done. You understand? So a lot of entrepreneurs in Nigeria, they only stop at getting the idea. Oh, you ask them, what are you doing, man? I have this idea. Oh, Nigeria is difficult. People are not ready to help and the rest of them. But that is not the case. All right. If you need to sell pure water for more than 5 years, I've had several fintech ideas I did not implement. What I was just doing, I was just doing branding. All right. So I call it a deflective strategy. All right. So because the fact that you have a good idea does not validate you to be worthy of funding. You need to know that. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So you cannot overemphasize the place of credibility. So
Yeah.
once you build your minimum viable product, what it means is you now have a traction to show. So when you go to meet people, oh, this is the future of what we are talking about. This is how it works. This is blah blah, and then this is what we have spent so far from point A to point B. And if we get this amount of money, all right, it will get us from point B to point C. All right, it is easy like that. Okay, and then once you are able to have this clarity, then you can now begin to explore what's it called, your relationship. Now you asked that how do we bring value out of relationship? A lot of people have are suffering from what is called the conformity bias, right? Um, the what's it called, the flow of the society, you get. So they just have the idea that, oh, everybody's having an idea, let me have an idea. They are not putting up the right attitude, the right concept, the right value system enough to become great. All right. So they have the right set of people in their life. But those people just have them. Do you get what I'm saying? So I was talking to someone, I said, the people you have in your life, are you a boy to them? Or you are kind of person that when they see your call, they will like, oh, he's a very promising boy. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So it comes with a place of you yourself being very, very valuable. You must position yourself as a very valuable person, as someone who add value whatsoever other people are doing. That is when people will bring their money to come and put into your business because they see you as someone that is of value. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Then recently we started a new startup that we help startup to raise money easily. We call it Co-Valley. Still using the principle we have used over the long period of time, which is crowdfunding and pulling fund from multiple sort of people. What we do is we help the startup. We use our reputation capital to help startups who are promising to build businesses. Hello, Banji. Hello.
Yes, we can. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. So what we did was we recently just started this Co-Valley so that we can bridge the gap. We have the reputation capital. We have the network. All right. And then people have been trusting us over a couple of years now. And then people can easily give us money. So we are now becoming a bridge between entrepreneurs who have sound ideas. Of course, it's still subject to validation. Check, is this business idea, is it right? Do you have proof of concept? In fact, we don't invest in an idea actually. It has to be a working prototype. You have generated at least a certain amount of revenue before you can come to us. And then we help you to, what's it called? To basically raise money. Then there is other way in which people can also raise money. You can apply for several grants, all right? But then grant is also a tedious process because no grant, I mean, very few grants, we actually invest in idea. You get when you have thousands of people who are within the same competition, who are applying for the same fund, right? With proven track records. They already, some of them are already running businesses and the rest of them. So the best way to raise money is to build the small version of what you think you have as an idea, and then create a traction out of it. All right, because business is simple. All right, scalability is about something small. So it's like 2 times 2, right? Once you understand the concept of multiplication, so 2 times 1 billion will not be an easy, will not be difficult, because what are you doing? You're just scaling it up. That is it basically. Banji.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Over to you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. Okay, great. Mr. Boma, in your business, you have a system of hiring, I'm sure. And so what do you look out for before you hire? Because I know that different people, your business is branch sensitive. So you have branches in a lot of places and in some of the most remote parts of Port Harcourt that you may not be able to get to. And so how do you manage all these branches? What system do you use to manage them?
Well, when we started, I was lucky at the time. I got into Y Combinator startup school when I think that's when we just started. So I learned a lot about team structures. And I was fortunate enough to join a group of CEOs at the time. I think they meet once a month. So the advantage of this group is that when you go there, everybody there is a CEO. Then you pour out your heart. So you hear CEOs, complaining about things they cannot complain about in public. So I learned a lot from, what people were saying, how to ask questions and all that. Well, for me, when I'm hiring, it depends on the position. If it's a position that is sensitive, my accountant, a supervisor, those kind of things, I try to make sure that, number one, the person has sense to a certain level. When I mean sense is the person understands some social cues, then I like, because we deal with money. So I like the fact that I can, worst case scenario, we can trace it to your house. Sometimes I volunteer to drop them at their houses. It's not necessarily because I don't have where to go. It's just to be safe. Because my brother was saying things. Then we like people that are ICT savvy. Usually, me personally, I just like people that know how to take instructions. Because I found out that in Nigeria, a lot of young people just feel that when you give an instruction, they're just trying to make noise. I tell you, here, this is the way we do things. When we close, we do this, we do that, we do that. Some people just feel, what, why? Why are we going through this stress? Not knowing that we've made mistakes, we've made corrections, and realized that this is the safest way to go about this particular process. So I just like people that can follow processes. That's my own. I love people that can follow processes. I try to find out if you come from a stable home, because I realized that people that are not from stable homes usually cause problems for us. When you ask people like, okay, where do you stay? And they say, okay, I'm staying with my friend, or I'm staying with one, relative. We've had issues, real life issues, where a former staff of ours went and used the company's money to pay her rent. She had issues, paid her rent, and was ready to damn the consequences. So all those things, if you don't find out, I found out that the earlier you find out, most times people will give you problems from the day you interview them. If you pay attention, you see that same thing when they begin to tell you they don't really have where they're staying and all that. So I like to look out for people that come from stable homes, try to find out, where your parents, are they married, are they together? Because I found out that children from stable homes tend to be more morally grounded. Not always, but most times. You can hold them to something, call their parents. Then you have people that, if they are from broken homes, it's difficult to catch them sometimes. This father does not know where the person is. The father might think is with the mother, and the mother might think is with the father. And we've gone through. If I begin to tell you my stories, we've gone through a lot, because our own, we deal with cash also. So we have issues where the person feels like I have a problem and I'm seeing the money, and maybe you're far, you might not get to me immediately. They make some money decisions. We've had those kind of issues. So I try to, of course, any which way, you have to factor in, you have to factor in some loss. That's the truth of the matter. You have to factor. There are a lot of things I learned from studying banks. I found out that even a lot of bankers don't understand how their banks work. Where you instruct that banks have a certain amount that they keep to buffer per month monies that will be lost that you don't hear about. Because if you hear about it, you panic. Those kind of things. So we had to factor that in also. Of course, you don't tell the staff that we keep some amount just in case. If not, some people factor it as part of their salaries. Those are the kind of things I learned. There's no school for that. Nobody's going to sit you down and teach you that. So things, the way Nigeria is, there's a lot of chaos. A lot of things don't have order. So we try to make the best use of it. There's one time in about 3 months, I arrested so many people, so many staff. This one took this one. I got tired. So we now say, no, this is not the best way to go about it. It's we need to check some kind of thing. So once we feel that we interview you, your home is not stable, especially if that's for me, as a no, even if you pass the interview, it's a problem for me. But if I'm employing an accountant, of course, we want to check, how to use all the software we use, you have some experience, you're also from a stable home, you don't have money issues, and you can ask them things like, are you owing anybody? Some people say I'm owing small. You see people that are already owing small. When they see money, they will use your money to pay what they are owing and all that. So those are the things we look at when we are trying to employ new staff.
People.
People most times we like to make sure that your parents are aware that we're employing you and what exactly you're going to be doing. So sometimes some parents might not be comfortable, and we've had the parents tell us that, see, I know my child has issues with money, don't employ them for that, and saved us plenty shares. So we've had that. So I can see that PK is here. There's no need to talk anymore. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So let me wrap it up. All right.
All right, thank you so much. I think we've had a pretty great conversation around team structures and funding. And thank you so much, Buma Peters. Thank you so much, Charles Avis, for your contributions. Everyone, PK is here, and I think you know him already. He needs no introduction. Welcome, sir. It's such a
Thank you.
privilege to have you here.
Thank you.
I mean, we've been anticipating your session, and there's
Awesome.
no doubt that this will be. I mean, in the email that we sent, we said you guys need to get ready for a mind shift because that is exactly what you're going to experience today. Okay, so I'm just going to throw in a little bit of introduction so that we can go straight ahead. Kenneth Olakunle Shorinyor is a futurist, iconoclast, global thought leader, and transdisciplinary keynote speaker. He's a thought-led global influence and relevance consultant and strategist. He's a culture shaper, he's a philanthropist, he's a social impact investor, he's a mentor, he's a spiritual guide and teacher and seer. According to Forbes, guys, they say these are the words that we use to describe Olakunle Shorinyo. Now, his profile is really, really long, right? But I'm not going to read everything that is in there. So he's going to be talking today about adapt or innovate. Okay, so what I want you all to do now is get a note, get a pen, and make sure that you listen attentively. And don't just listen again and again, because we're going to put this up somewhere for you to listen again. And so what you should be looking for is what you need to do next, in your business. Thank you so much for being here, sir. We're so privileged to have you wrap up this conference. It's been an intense one in the last couple of days, and we're grateful to have you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening on the third day of the Making Nigeria 2020 Localizing Innovation, I give you Olakunle Shorinyo. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I've got you.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
I'm-
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
can hear you.
Okay, great. It's just a bit of network issues coming back in a bit. Okay.
Hello, I'm back.
Welcome, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Welcome, sir.
thank you.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I present to you Mr. Kenneth Olakunle Shorinyo.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here tonight. I feel very proud and very excited to be sharing this moment with you. I've always been part of Making Nigeria conference. I've always been part of Apostles in the Marketplace. My journeys into Port Harcourt, year in, year out, remains highly memorable. You know, I celebrate it. I do not take it for granted. I've been offline for a while in Port Harcourt because of the expanded work I have to take responsibility for globally. But I remain, excited, humble, and privileged to be part of the conference this year. I want to thank Pastor Uche so much for inviting me, for his confidence in my work, for his understanding of the grace of God upon my life, and his consistent belief that what I know and what I understand can make a lot of difference for God's people. I also want to thank Sister Angela Onoche, Pastor Uche's wife. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your visionary posture. We celebrate you. We thank you for it. We thank you for your love and your passion, right? So I'm just going to get down to what I want to thank the whole team, all the good people behind the scene, those we can see, those we cannot see. Olabanji Stephen, the guy who just introduced me. Thank you for your work, and all the good people here. I see some names that I know at one level or the other. Thank you all for showing up. and for doing this. God bless you greatly. I want to talk to you about something very important, and I do pray that you are able to make the choice to pretty much shift to the angle that work, as the post-event behavior, going forward. So we don't need to emphasize the character of 2020 anymore. It's clear to all of us what it is. So much is going on already. A lot of people are dead, young, old, rich, poor. A lot of people are gone. And anytime there's shedding of blood, you want to understand that the shedding of blood is not an ordinary experience. Somebody says, I can't hear anything. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, you
Frank,
can
Can
Yes,
hear you.
we can hear you.
great. So Frank, you are the one that has a problem, so try and solve it. All right, so anytime there's shedding of blood, there's reason for consideration. As Christians, especially, we understand that all blood speak. All blood speaks. It's the blood of Jesus that speaks better things. But all blood speak. Anytime there's shedding of blood, the blood will speak, will create an effect and an order, usually in time. But what the blood will say must be maximized by those who live and culture it in such a way that it speaks positivity into their own concerns. And a lot of people don't get that though. They completely miss it. And what they miss is that they get carried away with the blood that has been shed or the loss of life. They get so emotionally burdened, they miss the urgency of the moment. Because the blood of Jesus, for example, was shed, but unto redemption. So when you understand that, you want to begin to ask questions about what is God trying to say. Is it God killing people? No. Who is killing people? Evil kills. God does not kill. Does God take advantage of what evil is doing? Oh, yes. Because evil does the dirty jobs so that God can take the glory for the divine experiences of the human condition, for the spiritual experiences of the human condition. So these are realities. And so you don't want to take a 2020 with so much body counts, over 1 million deaths already in 1 year. And that is in addition to those who die normally from cancer, those who die from HIV, hepatitis B, and shortage of food, lack of water, and all of that. People already die in their millions. And this is pretty much adding to that volume. So it's really sad. But what we need to know is that a new order is being introduced to the world. And the Bible says that we don't put new wine into old wineskin. The arrival of the new automatically defines the fading of the old. And there are some basic things that pretty much will characterize, the remaining years of our experience, particularly for anyone above 60. If you are listening to me tonight, or you know anyone who is above 60, they belong to a very significant generation. It's a generation I call the departing generation, or the wasteful generation. I call it the departing generation or the wasteful generation, depending on who I'm talking to. If I'm not talking to Nigerians and I'm talking to the world, to Europeans and Americans, I will not call it the wasteful generation. I will just call it the departing generation. But if I'm talking to Nigerians or in Africa, in most parts of sub-Saharan Africa especially, I will call it the wasteful generation. Anybody between age 60 and above are in the departing generation, right? Departing because if you add 30 years, and numbers are key. I've always told people, the Bible says, teach us to number our days, Psalm 90. Why? So that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. Teach us to number our days. Why? That we may apply our hearts to wisdom. So there's a level of the application of wisdom we will not attain to except we learn to number our days. Numbers make a lot of difference in how we interpret reality, right? 3 is the number of the Trinity. 5 is the number of grace. 7 is the number of perfection. There are other numbers in the world. 1 0, 1 0. Without 1 0, the binary numbers, there will not be the computer in front of you. There will not be the phone in front of you. There will not be TVs. Numbers has created all of those devices. You know, there's a lot of machines in the world today that are surviving on those 2 numbers. 1 0, 1 0, 1 0. Number is very key. There are some numbers also that create what I call the birth years of life. The years of the significant years of history. For example, 1885. 1885 was the Berlin Conference. And on that number, you know, the world has not recovered from the Second World War. It's another great number, which attempted to collapse the effect of the 1885 Berlin Conference. The 1885 is the Berlin Conference where the world was shared and distributed on a pattern and on certain conditions and agendas. And, you know, the world, Africa for one, has not recovered from that number, 1885. 1914 is another number, the First World War. It created another type of generation. It built an entire culture and mindset and lifestyle and thinking for an entire generation of people. 1929 was another, you know, great year. That's the Great, you know, Depression, you know. That also created another type of children, another type of adults. It impacted on the world. 1945 was the World War. That also created all of what we call baby boomers. Were from that particular generation, and all of that affected the way they thought, the problems they solved, the challenges they accepted, the indulgences they frustrated, or the ones they accepted. You know, all of that happened, you know. So we've always had numbers. There's 1517. There's 1517, which is the Martin Luther Reformation. The Martin Luther Reformation. Before 1517, human beings had arrested faith completely, hijacked it from God, right? And as at 1517, we were paying for forgiveness and collecting receipts, if you know what I mean. I mean, it was terrible, you know. All of that was happening. The papacy, the Pope, and all of the structure, you know, of Roman Catholicism was pretty much in operation at that time. And, you know, God was cut off from the experience of faith, and religion was the King Kong of the experience of God, right? Martin Luther rose and on the discovery by the Spirit of God that the righteous shall live by faith, not by the approval of some leaders, that the righteous shall live by his faith, actually. And based on that, he led his movement. And people forget that that movement did not only impact on the church and change the theology of the church, it actually went on into mainstream culture to give us all of what we know as free inquiry today, to give us all of what we know as democracy today, to give us all of what we know as free inquiry today. And all of that began from 1517, the Martin Luther Reformation. There's the 500-year number. Every 500 years, something unprecedented, unplanned, hits the church that pretty much, you know, impact on our theology, but does not end in the church. It goes on from the church into mainstream culture to impact on popular culture, right? Which is what happened in 1517. 2017 is another critical number. That was the end of 500 years from 1517. That was the end of 500 years from 1517. And at the end of that 500 years, you know, a change began, because every 500 years, from the Great Schism all the way to Martin Luther Reformation, all the way to 2017. And if you go back to 2017, you are going to notice that that is when all the attack on tithing began. That's where a lot of the critics began to really get vocal, the freezes of this world and all of that. And the attack on the benevolence of the Nigerian church, of the African church, of pastors, the balance of technical progression and moral progression, and spiritual progression, and the technicalities of religion and faith. All of those criticisms began mightily in 2017 and continue to deepen and get louder and louder, right? Because the world has changed. But what also changed from 2017, beginning from 2018, was the intolerance of analog in the human condition and the switch to technology gear, right? But the world was taking its time. The world was taking its time to move to the gear of technology. Technology is not supposed to be a tool for the human life. Technology is designed to be the human life, you see, and humanity was taking its time. But for COVID, companies like Zoom will have died. Maybe by next year or 2 years from now, they will have died. Companies like StreamYard will not have, the room that they have today. These were the companies that should be the King Kong of a tech-driven world, but were suffering because the world was taking its time to accept tech as the newness of life. And so COVID came and disrupted everything. And before you get really, negative about what COVID is all about, before you get really, concerned about what COVID is all about, you want to also understand very critically that what has happened through COVID is the world has been slowed down. The world has been slowed down so that a lot of people who were out of the loop can catch up. So that a lot of people who were out of the loop can catch up. So there are so many people who are already out of the loop of the global events, particularly from the eye of tech, who have now been given an opportunity to pivot, to reinvent, re-engineer, and birth newness in preparation for what is ahead. Listen, if you are alive on January 1, 2021, if you are alive and breathing on January 1, 2021, a call is upon your head. A dimension of grace and power is upon your head. A calling and a dutifulness, a sense of mission is upon you that you need to understand and align with, because you will not be ordinary. I'm going to speak to what is going to be happening within the decade and the 30 years, 20 years that will sleep on that decade. But 2020 is one of those years I've mentioned, like 1929, like 1914, like 1945, like 1855, like 1517. That is what 2020 is. It's a year we will live to talk about. We go down in human history as one of the most complex experiences of the human condition. It's going to be documented in our, books, in our sciences, in our arts, in all of those collections, right? Now, part of that documentation will be that life as we know it changed completely in 2020. It is the start of the beginning. It is the beginning of newness in a way unimagined. Somebody called it the year of the restart, where everything started again. And there's still more, ahead of us. There's still so much to know and so much to understand and so much to lean into and so much to live into that is still ahead of us. But understand critically that 2020 is a bad year. Upon this year, a lot of years, the events of 2020 is going to color, shape a lot of what we are going to know in the years ahead for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. If the Lord tarries 100 years and more, 2020 will continue to shape that conversation. We are coming into a post-COVID world. So there's going to be post-COVID children, really. 2020 is that bad year that other years are going to sleep on, like those other years I have mentioned. All of that is going to be happening. Again, you must then ask, so what does all of that even mean? part of what it means is the fact that, you know, the world is like driving a car with 5 speed, a car with gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, gear 4, gear 5. The car has the capacity to go all the way from 1 speed to 5 speed, to gear 1 to 5. But because there was no traffic, there's no threats, nobody's chasing you, there's nothing around you, it's just you on the road, you were driving all this while on gear 1 and 2, gear 1 and 2. And you know, once you are driving gear 1 and 2, there's a limit to the speed you can deploy. You know, if you really want to move really fast, faster than you were moving, you have to go to gear 3. You have to then go to gear 4. You have to then go to gear 5, you know. Then you are on top of your speed. However, you know, the world was on gear 1 and 2 for a long time. Even though they've had the capacity to drive on all the way to gear 5, their car of life, so to say, could drive to gear 5 speed, but it was moving on gear 1 and 2, right? Technology was supposed to be gear 3, 4, and 5. That's supposed to be the height of human exchange, big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, you know, electronics, nanotechnology, you know, all of this was supposed to begin to come and begin to determine, you know, human experiences and begin to curate another type of how we live, how we love, how we war, how we play, how we shop, how we do everything, right? But somehow, for many reasons, right, the world was taking its time. Then COVID was the threat, pretty much like you were driving gear 1 and 2, and then you look back, all of a sudden, you see a lion coming towards you. Wow, what do? You move to gear 3. Then you move to gear 4. Then you move to gear 5. Because you really need to run. You keep changing the speed. But when you saw the lion was not when gear 3 entered your car, or gear 4 entered your car, or gear 5 entered your car. Your car has always been capable of moving from gear 1 all the way to gear 2 and gear 3 and gear 4 and gear 5, but you never had enough urgency, enough reason to move your car all the way to 5 speed. With the sight of a lion behind you, even if it's sleeping, you don't want to find out. So what did you do? You moved the car straight to gear 3, gear 4, gear 5. In the same old car, you began to curate newness, speed at a level that you have always been capable of doing, but you never did because there was no compelling experience to force you to move there. That is why I say to people, there's nothing new under the sun. New is old happening to new people. New is old happening to new people. When you call something new, it's not new. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. He said what has been is what will be. He said what is done is what will be done. And so when you find something new or you call something new, it is not a new thing. You are the one that is new meeting something old. You are the one that is new meeting something old and calling it new. What you call new is existing in a format that you are not able to recognize, in an unrecognizable format, right in front of you, but you did not see it until it was time for you to see it. So some people discovered glass sometime in our history. And for the first time, they created glass. But you see, they created that glass as from the raw material. The raw material of glass is sand. So when you heat sand to a level, it becomes glass. Now, those people who found that they can heat glass, they can heat sand and create glass. To them, glass was new. But to the maker of sand, he knew that he has kept the capacity, the potential for sand to become glass in the sand. So to the maker of the sand, glass is not new. But to those who discovered glass, right, glass was new. So the new they discovered is old happening to them. So when old happens to new people, they call it new, new. That is why New Year is a myth. It's just a necessary curation to manage your peace, to manage your sense of enthusiasm, to manage your optimism. In practical terms, there's no new year. The weather does not change because it's a new year. Your income does not change except you go and change it. There's nothing happening differently apart from numbers. Numbers are good because it brings the accurate arrangement of things, order. It brings regulation. It brings, standards, and help us to, decipher the difference between, moments and all of that. So that is what numbers does. In practical terms, numbers are not true, so to say, as far as numbering, our days are concerned. When you look at it, it's a collapse of science that allows us to be maximized in the moment. For example, when you say good morning to somebody, you are in the morning. You feel the morning. So you say good morning because you are in the morning. It's a real experience, kinetic, not potential. When you say good afternoon, you are in the afternoon. You feel the heat of the day. You know you are in the afternoon. When you say good evening, you are in the evening. You feel the coolness of the evening. You know you are in the evening. When you say good night, you know you are in the night. You can feel the night. You know this is night and you feel it. You get excited because it is night. When you say good life, you are breathing. You are in the life. So you say good life or bad life. When you say goodbye, somebody is leaving. You just can't say goodbye. It's a kinetic experience. It's not potential. Every time you say goodbye, somebody is leaving physically, right? So that's why you say goodbye. Now, morning, it was kinetic. Real experience. Afternoon, real experience. Evening, real experience. Night, real experience. Measurable experience. All of them. Bye, bye-bye, goodbye, measurable experience. Good night, good life, measurable experience. Will you have the blessing or the misfortune of saying, good future, wow, good future, we are in the future, oh, what a future. You will never have the opportunity to say so. Why? You are never in the future. There is no such thing as a future. A future is not practical. A future is not true. A future is an arrangement by God to keep optimism alive, to keep hope meaningful, to keep you enthusiastic and keep pursuits orchestrated. In practical terms, there's no such thing as a future. Today was once a future. Yesterday was a future. 10 years from now will be a future. But every time you arrive in the future, what do you call it? Moment now. What do you call it? Today, right? Because the next 5 seconds is in the future. Let's go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in the future. What do we call it? Now. The next 10 seconds is in the future. 10 seconds from now is still in the future. But let's go to the future now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're in the future. But what do we call it? Today. What do we call it? Today, this now, this moment, right? So the idea of a future is not practical. In practical times, you will never be in the future. Yesterday is an experience. Tomorrow is an idea. Today is your critical platform of exchange. Yesterday is an experience. Tomorrow is nothing but an idea. Today is your critical platform of exchange. Your head is the only place a future exists in. The future is not real. You will never be there. Every time you arrive in the future, you are going to call it today. That number you call 2035 is a number. When you get there, it's not going to be called 2035. It's going to be called today. Therefore, when people say, I will do this tomorrow, I'll be happy in 10 years' time. I will be rich 25 years' time. I will be happy when I leave my mother's house or when I get married. They make a mistake. They are putting too much into a future that does not exist. Today is that future. If you are not happy now, most likely you will never be happy. If you are not comfortable now, if you are not thinking now, most likely you will never think. Every day you live is a rehearsal for mastery. The Bible says the eyes of the fool is on the ends of the earth. It sees so clear to the future, it forgets where he is. I added that. The Bible says that better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of desire. It's better to see clearly what is before you and to embrace that than to ignore what is before you in exchange for what is ahead of you. We need to get stronger. We need to weaponize our minds. I call it a call to mental weaponry, a call to spiritual maximization. You got to understand that and begin to key into that. And so what you need to understand is there's no articulation of the future without responsibility where you are. It's priceless. And that is the limit of numbers. So you do the numbers to the extent that it gets you active now. Any form of idea in your life that renders you immobile today, inactive today, and puts you active only in the future is a self-initiated attack to slow yourself down. You got to come out of that indolence and come into a place of strength. Part of that is to know that each day counts for something. And so when you are powerful, you are getting yourself right in each moment. Somebody said, when I mess up my life, it's because of my decisions. I said it is true. Decisions will mess up your life, but when you are ready to fix your life, you are going to make new decisions again. And it better be right, and it has to be now. How do you heal your past? You heal your past not by feeling sad or looking at it or feeling sorry, but by creating a new past. Every day you live, you create a new past. Every successful day you live, you create a new past. Your past is going into a hard drive. No matter how bad yesterday was, if you take creative action today and you live today successfully, then it creates a new past for you, a new past. And there's a sense in which you create so much new past that your dirty past is pushed to the back burner of exchange. And what you can remember and recall are the good experiences that you are creating every day that is forming your new past for you. Of course, you don't forget history, but history can be arrested with the soundness of today, right? And that is how it works. So part of what I'm sharing with you is to understand the great responsibility on top of your life today, that tomorrow is key. We have to be able to stay in there, however, today. And that is why we need to pivot. For example, I told you just before I got into this analysis about newness. So when people say, oh, something is new, what is happening to them is old. They are the one that is new and calling it, they are the one that is new, and then shifting from there as the new quantity and calling their experience what is new. So new is old happening to new people. So that is the arrest of numbers. It's also the arrest of reality. So part of how that then works, part of how it works, again, like I gave you the example of sand, I can also give you the example of paper. Those who found paper rejoice that they have found paper. We have found paper. We have found paper. Paper is new. Paper is new. But paper was made out of trees. The person who created trees has said there's nothing new under the sun. What is done, for Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9, what is done is what will be done. What has been is what will be. Tree has been. God made the tree. The creator of the tree knows that the potential for paper resides in the tree. And that this tree I am giving you is the raw material for paper. Tomorrow's people then studied the tree and found that paper can come out of tree. And they called it new. To them, it is new. To the maker of the tree, there is nothing new under the sun. What is done is what will be done. What has been is what will be, because what will be created out of the concentration of what is or what has been. That is essentially the science of newness. That is how inventions are curated. That is how innovations are curated. That is how disruptions are curated, right? So when you understand that, you then see that there's really nothing new in this COVID. Technology is not new, right? It has always been there. It is not this year that Amazon started. It is not this year that Zoom started. All of us are on Zoom every day. This conference will happen. None of us will even think of Z. How much more Zoom? We won't even think of Zoom at all. But a COVID world, a post-COVID world has formed this time on all of us. And whether we like it or not, we have to now embrace this Zoom. The owner and the founders of Zoom has made so much money in this period. It's not only Zoom, StreamYard, and quite a lot of them are making killer money, prospering at a level, Walmart and so many stores. Some are dying, like Primark are struggling, almost dead. And then some are rising because they've positioned themselves online. Amazon is not doing anything new, no. Amazon is just a well-positioned organization in line with the nature of today's human life. The nature of today's human life is tech. Tech is the miracle of the 2020s. whether you like it or not. And anything you call a miracle is technology, and anything you call technology is a miracle. I don't care whether it's Red Sea or it's just a technology that transcends your own understanding of matter. Matter being anything that has weight and occupies space. There's matter manipulation, the manipulation of anything that has weight and occupies space, right? That is where all of the inventions of life come from. By the time you begin to understand dark matter, right, you see that all of the matter in the world that we know, whatever we call matter, is just nothing but maybe 25% of available matter in the whole world. So there's so much yet to be known. There's so much yet to be discovered that we call dark matter, right? So understand all of that, and so come into that zone of power where you recognize that the world is changing, and it's changing without our permission. I don't have time to break down the character of that change, but I do have time to let you know that that change is noiseless. It's not making any noise, but it is happening. And 4 things are characterizing the content of this change. And you got to key into it. Before I go into those 4 things, let me describe the environment of those 4 things. The environment of those 4 things is technology. Is technology. You see, gone are those days when technology is a substitute, where technology is one of those things you can use, where technology was a tool. Technology in the 2020s is not a tool, it is who we are. We are going to continue to grow into more and more of technology. And at a point in human history, we are going to become tech ourselves. For now, our ideas and our organizations must become tech, not organizations using tech. So we are going to speak less and less about underdeveloped, developing, and developed nations. We are going to speak more and more about smart, smarter, and smarter nations. We are going to speak less and less about democracy. We are going to speak more and more about technocracy. And a technocracy is a system where all ideas are governed by technology, and all ideas are driven by technology and managed by technologists. Please, I didn't say technocrats. A technocracy is a system where all ideas are driven by technology and managed by technologists. I don't care what the idea is: hospital, arts, science, fashion, and whatever it is, construction, whatever it is, all ideas are going to take their place in the wall of technology. All ideas will be driven by technology and will be managed by technologists. Wow. Are you saying all of us have to become programmers, coding every day? No, we are not all going to become programmers, coding every day. All of us are simply going to have a minimum level of understanding to interact with techies, to provide leadership for techies, or to be led by techies, or to lead techies, so that we can speak one language. 1 0 is a language, is a binary language. The language of tech is a language, is a culture. Tech is a language, tech is a culture. Tech is a form of faith, right? Through its recognizability and usability and transferability. Symposium discussion for another day. But understand that we have come and we are going to go deeper and deeper into a technocracy. We are going to go deeper and deeper into a technocracy. Now, once you have said that, let me tell you the implication. The implication is that before COVID, if you are a hospital, before COVID, if you are a hospital, you will be the one that is using technology to treat people. You are a hospital using technology to heal people, right? It means your technological use will be limited to MRI scan machine, X-ray machine, stethoscope, injection. They are all technology. Technology is anything that creates ease, that creates speed, and creates affordability. Technology is anything that creates speed, that creates ease, that creates affordability. A miracle is the same thing. A miracle is anything that creates ease, that creates speed, and creates affordability. By affordability, I mean access. So access, speed, and ease, that is technology. That is miracle as well. So a miracle is a technology. Technology is a miracle. I don't have time to break that down. But trust me, part of what is going to be happening is we are coming into an everyday reality of contemporary life where all ideas are governed by technology. It means our time will create more speed, more ease, and more access, right? Right? So that is technology. Now, I told you that all ideas will be governed by tech and will be managed by technologies. And I said, if you are a hospital, part of your experience is that today, before COVID, you are a hospital using tech to treat people. In post-COVID, you are not a hospital using tech to heal people. No. In post-COVID, you are a tech organization, not a hospital. You are a tech organization first. You are a tech organization that is healing people. You are a tech organization. If you are a church before COVID, you are a church using tech to reach people. And your tech use is limited to websites, social media handle and stuff like that. Instruments, a keyboard, drum, handbills, anything that creates ease, that creates access, that creates speed. That's what you were doing. But in post-COVID, you are not a church using tech. You are a tech organization reaching people. You are a tech organization reaching people. What does that mean? That means that the energy of your exchange is tech. The perfect example of that is Amazon. When you look at Amazon, people forget that when Amazon started, all they were doing was selling books. All they were doing was selling books. And the temptation of their observers is to call Amazon a bookstore. You can call Amazon a bookstore, an online bookstore, but that's not who they were. They were a tech organization selling books. And as soon as they mastered books and they created a niche and dominated the space, they moved to CDs and they moved to something else, dominated that, moved to something else. Today, on the same platform of tech, Amazon is selling everything and anything. And guess what? With every new thing they choose to sell, they are selling on a lower cost. Their cost is not going up compared to their profit is going down because it's on the same platform. Technology is the platform, so it keeps them nimble. It keeps them elastic to stretch to any level of resourcefulness and any level of ideation. On the same platform of technology, the same platform they use to sell book is what they are using to sell shoe, is what they are using to sell golf kits, is what they are using to sell a lot of things. Their cost is going down by the day because they are already nimble through technology. Let me give you another example. An example is a company producing water. If a company is producing water and all it is selling is water on a daily basis, don't forget that the same equipment that is producing water, plus or minus a few small equipments, can produce soda, soft drinks, can produce wine, can produce beverages of all kinds. But you started with water. By the time you add one or two things, you move to soft drinks. You add one or two things, the same factory producing water can produce so many other types of drink because you're already nimble. Now, what that machines add to you is what tech is now to organizations. So, for example, the world, if you are a church, the world can know you in your vision. What is your vision? To reach souls, to save souls. Maybe if that's your vision, the world externally can know you as that. But between you and your team, you are not a church. You are first a tech organization doing church. You are a tech organization doing church because that changes the game. It keeps you nimble. If the church in northern Nigeria understands this, the Boko Haram will not disseminate, will not, what is that word? Will not, I've forgotten the word. Will not destroy them though. Let me just use that. The way it has, the way it has. When the Boko Haram began to bomb churches, the churches were so analog. They had no way of meeting except they surrender to geography, except they meet physically. They could not communicate, they could not meet. So when the bombs began to blow, the church began to get weaker and weaker. If they understand that they were, first of all, a tech organization doing church, they will have reproduced everything they were doing offline, online. Some churches and some businesses are still waiting for COVID to go. Let COVID go so that we can get our life back. No, COVID is not going anywhere. You are going to learn to coexist with COVID. When measles came to the world, everybody thought measles would go away. It came to stay. When chickenpox came to the world, people were waiting for it to go away. They all faded. Chickenpox stayed. We learned to cope with chickenpox. When flu came to the world, we thought it was going to go away. Now we take flu shots across North America. The idea is that some things are not necessarily supposed to be solved. They just need to be managed. And you don't know the future of what we are dealing with. Nobody knows what we are dealing with. A lot of the best scientists are guessing and guessing through it, making assumptions and assuming through it. And that works. Assumption leads to theory. Theory can create reality, right? So all of that works. But that is what is going on right now. So you want to be nimble in such a way that what is coming should come. It is what you see, how you hear, how you interpret, who you are, and how you situate that will make the difference. What is coming will come. It is who you are and how prepared you are that will make the difference. So understand, you need to pivot now. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. Whatever you do, if you are doing A, you are not an A company using tech. No, you are a tech company doing A. You get the difference? It's just a flip. It's just a flip, right? You are now a tech organization. If you are a consultant, you are no longer a knowledge company using technology to reach the world, to bless the world. No. If you are a consultant that is disseminating knowledge, you are first a tech organization. It means technology. Can you all hear me, please? Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Hello?
you.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes,
Great.
we can hear you.
All right, thank you. So if
can
you are
hear
a
you.
tech, thank you. It's okay. Now, if you are a tech, what am I trying to say? Please, it's going to come back. Don't worry. I get distracted easily. It's going to come back. Yes, thank you. So online church. So sorry. What it means, all I've said, what it means is that online is the line now. Online is the front door to your work. You see, before COVID, the front door to our work was offline. Online was the back door. In COVID, in post-COVID, online is your front door. Offline is your back door. Online is your front door. Offline is your back door. In post-COVID, offline is your back door. Online is your front door. So that is critical. That is very, very, very critical. And so you need to start pivoting and start asking your own questions. Whatever you are doing, how do I take it to the world? How do I go online? How do I get represented online? And not just be an observer online, but drive my entire work through the eye of technology, no matter what you do. Secondly, it doesn't make sense anymore as you go into the decade to continue to earn whatever you earn within the limits of your geography. Can't you see what is happening to the Naira? It's being, weakened on a daily basis, 400 and something now. And it's still going to get higher, trust me. So what do you need to do? You need to quickly begin to texture your ideas into a global product that the Americans can pay for, that the British can pay for. It's called borderlessness. And if you want to understand that well, tonight is not the night. I've recorded 260 minutes of podcast. I recorded it in 2018 to let you know, if you listen to that CD, you are going to think I just recorded it now in COVID. You will listen to it, you will see the dates and everything going on there. I recorded it since 2018 January. It's called borderlessness. We are in a borderless world now. It has been due since, I told you, new is old, happening to new people. So I've recorded that. If you have the time, you go to my store, learn.kenechorianstore.com. Learn.kenechorianstore.com. Learn www.kennethshorionstore.com. If you go there, you look for 4 part 1, 2, 3, and 4, borderlessness, and order for it so that you can understand what borderlessness is and how to position your idea online and how to express yourself with tech, and how globalization is dying and dead, and how short-term pragmatism is dead, and how total quality management is dead. Total quality management is dead, and how total experience management is the new kid on the block. So understand all of that. There's no room for any short-term pragmatism, right? You have to take the long-term view, but with something that you are doing now, engage today, to connect today and tomorrow. But tomorrow is not real. Today is what is practical. So you can believe in tomorrow and be inactive in today. Then you are out of the show. You have to be active today, and your belief tomorrow receives sense. You understand what I'm saying? So part of that, again, is to make sure that you are now able to receive money from all over the world. Your idea must be recognizable, accessible, and transferable all over the world. How can the British send you pounds? How can the Americans pay you in dollars? How can the German pay you in Dutchmark? How can how can the Europeans give you euro? You need to think of all of that, navigate all of that, and position yourself along all of that. Again, never forget, this decade is about 4 things. I said it at the beginning. I will then re-echo it now. Number 1, this decade is the fading of powers and voices as we know it. Is the fading of powers and voices as we know it. So understand that in the next 30 years, everybody age 60 and above will either be at the departure lounge of life, ready to take the flight, or they will have taken the flight. If you are 60, you'll be 90 in 30 years. If you are 70, you'll be 100. If you are 80, you'll be 110. Come on. If you are 90, you'll be 120. Definitely, you'll be gone. So take responsibility of that. For that, it's a reality, whether we like it or not, right? Again, if you are now age 30 to 59, if you are age 30 to 59, you are those I call the interregnum generation. You are not going to change Nigeria, but you are the one that will prepare Nigeria for those who will change it. Your case is like the case of David, who, not for lack of experience, not for lack of capacity, not for lack of resources, not for lack of anointing, for he had everything available to build the temple. But the Lord said, you will not build the temple. Though you have the money, though you have the followership, though you have the resources, though you have the experience, though you have the integrity, though you have the character, though you have the wisdom, you will not build the temple. Instead, your son will build the temple. Your son will build the temple. Why? There's too much blood in your hand. So if you are age 30 and to 59, you are the interregnum generation between cause and effect. You are right there between cause and effect. You are the generation that will hand over Nigeria in a usable, transferable format, transformable format to the, what I call the takeover generation. Now, you are going to be humble to understand that just like David's hand was filled with blood, your own hands are too soiled. You have been the generation of the departing generation of age 60 to and above has placed a virus in your own construct, in your own character, and in your own reality that your hands are also soiled. You are not exactly as clean as you pretend to be. So you really are already locked into the evil of those ahead of you. You are not just aware. You are unaware and you are unprepared to tell yourself the truth, how locked you are into that missile. You are not very different. When they take you into government now, you are going to crack as well. Everybody that went into government, we went with determination. The stress of government cracked them because government is a pressurized environment. Government introduced them to them and then introduced them to us. We and the person were meeting the person for the first time because the person began to do things he's not even believe he could be doing, right? So don't get it wrong. You are going to do amazing things. But the departing generation will wrestle you. Will wrestle you on different levels. You are going to win. Not because you are powerful, not because you have more insight, but because the providence of life, the clock of life favors your generation. Your generation will win. Evil will win. Evil will lose. Nigeria will win, and you'll be in front of it. And I'm not talking about anything violent. I'm not talking about any revolution. I'm talking about the sting of death that is sure to take some people out by nature. It's natural. You know, it's going to happen. If you think to the world today, you think of all the names in the world, think of all the names in the world that are occupying power centers. In 30 years' time, Donald Trump will be gone. Joe Biden will be gone. Bill Clinton will be gone. Hillary Clinton will be gone. Obama will probably be gone or be at the departure lounge of life, ready to take the flight. A lot of people you know in Nigeria, so many names you know who are 60 and above will have gone. Obasanjo will have gone. Atiku will have gone. Buhari will have gone. Tinubu will have. A lot of people will have gone, not because anybody will attack them, but because they will answer the question of wear and tear. It's called twilight. It's called old age. In that all men will die. The human body expires, regardless of his wealth, regardless of his bliss or misery, his wisdom or foolishness. He must surrender to the sting of death at some point through old age, not through any bump, not through any jazz, not through any diabolism, just the course of nature. But the question is, a generation will take over who are between age 30 and 59 today, and they are going to organize, they are going to put things together, not for lack of experience, not for lack of capacity, but they will not create the renaissance, the times of refreshing that Africa deserves, that Nigeria deserves. Instead, they are going to hand over to the those I call the takeover generation. The takeover generation is anybody age 29 and below. From age 29 and below is the takeover generation, right? Most critically, 25 up to age 1. Anybody 1 today will be 31 in 30 years' time. If you are 10, you'll be 40. If you are 15, you'll be 45 in 30 years. If you are 20, you'll be 50. If you are 25, you'll be 55. So the adults of that time, in 30 years' time, by 2050, by 2060, the full-blown adults of that time in their 50s, in their 40s, in their 30s will be people aged 29 and below, the strength of the future. Those are the guys that will be in charge of the territory of change, of the zone of change, of the miracle of transformation, of the renaissance that we deserve, you know, as a people. All of that will happen, right? And so don't get it twisted. What you can do is to locate yourself within that missile of change and understand what you can take down and what is not yours to target, so that you can play your role adequately and effectively. Understand that. Now, part of that, you know, science is now to mature and begin to take responsibility for your own capacity now, because it is the person that is well that can donate blood, right? It's called capacity. Grow to that level of strength. Then shift to a different level and understand that I said 4 things. The first one, I've just explained, the fading of powers and voices as we know it. The second one is the emergence of voices and powers as we are yet to know. The emergence of powers and voices as we are yet to know. And that emergence is right there between the interregnum generation, age 30 to 59, and the takeover generation, age 29 to below. That those 2 generations are the emerging powers and the emerging voices of the 2020s, right? And then the third one is the rise of underdogs. The rise of underdogs. Kalabashanda. Sorry to speak in tongues, but I felt something right now. The rise of underdogs, right? No-name boys and girls taking responsibility at a level, right? Curating ideas at a level, holding on to complex models in their heads at a level, architecting, you know, newness at a level, right? Those guys, no-name boys and girls, no-name men and women are going to begin to come on the scene. Is the rise of underdogs. Your last name is irrelevant. The school you went to or did not go to is irrelevant. Where you studied or did not study, what you studied or did not study is irrelevant. These are not things we are going to qualify for with your labor. These are things that are reserved for you to come into. You don't qualify, but it's reserved. These things are not going to happen because of you. They are going to happen in spite of you. They are not going to happen. They are not going to happen because of you or because of what you do, really, but in spite of what you do. The question is prepare. Are you ready? Can you take it? Have you adjusted yourself? Are you pivoting? Are you preparing? You need to change your room of learning and begin to curate a new type of environment for yourself. Keep your strategy room, keep your thinking room, keep your brainstorming room, but keep a higher room. Ensure that you have his presence as your biggest room, because your ear must be gummed to the lip of the master, of the creator, so that you can hear. For you will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. This is the way, walk in it. Instructions that will transform your community, that will humble your nation, that will transform your continent are visiting you. Instructions that, when executed, will take you all the way to Fox News, all the way to CNN, all the way to the biggest platform on BBC. The media looking at you, watching you, asking you questions, studying you, business schools, analyzing your idea and your models, new systems of government, new ideas in business, new theories, new assumptions coming. Listen, if we find cure to HIV in this decade, I will not be shocked. If we find cure to diabetes or we find cure to HIV in this decade, I will not be shocked. Ideas are being sent down to interrupt the order of science and the protocol of science, and we are going to see incredible advancement of the human condition in ways unimaginable. And tongue-speaking Christians, you and I, are going to find ourselves in that mix. Look, academics has done enough in the world. Education is ruling the world now. Revelation will be the highest experience of the human condition, and those with the talking relationship with God at the level are those who are going to assess that revelation and be able to position at a level that pretty much humbles the everyday issues of contemporary life, the solutions we have come to understand until now. In this decade, we may find the next level of the internet. In this decade, we may find the next level of social media. I mean, anything can happen today, and I speak to you in the name of Jesus. The last one is the rise of the church. Don't forget, the rise, the fading of powers and voices as we know it. The emergence of voices and powers as we are yet to know. The rise of underdogs and the rise of the church. Time will not permit me to go beyond this, but I challenge you today, rise up to this type of thinking. Order for this CD, listen for this audio, listen again and again, the same for all the speakers, and then begin to zone in, learn to number your days, that you may apply your hearts to wisdom. I don't know if there will be questions, but quite frankly, I'm done. God bless you.
Wow, PK, thank you. Wow, that was some awesome time. PK, thank you. As usual, you blow us out, blow our minds every time you speak. Thank you so much. We are elevated in our spirit. Every time you talk, you leave us with the mindset, I can do more, I can be more. Thank you so much. You deliver all the time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
My wife and I, we appreciate you a lot. You have been part of this commission, and we ask that God will also strengthen you and make it global. The whole world needs to hear your voice.
Amen.
And you are a global thought leader, and everybody needs to hear you. I am happy right now that you are going places. You're just not Nigeria, borderless, as you have been teaching borderless, and now it's going to be a reality. You'll be a first partaker of that borderless anointing.
Amen.
Because it is just common. Yeah, your voice and your wisdom is more than Nigeria and Africa. Amen.
Amen.
I declare that in the name of Jesus.
Amen. I receive.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just hand you over to Olavanji, our moderator.
Thank
and we can take from there. Ranji?
Whoa, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure that everyone is mind blown. Me personally, I mean, we all had our ears glued, our eyes glued to the things that you were saying, the uncommon ideas that you were sharing. And just one question, sir, before you leave. I might take one more if anybody asks a question. Just make sure that you do it really quick. And please stay muted. Someone is unmuted now. Okay, sir. I know that you're a strategist. You're one of the most respected strategists in Nigeria, in Africa, frankly speaking, in the world. And this has been an issue adapting or innovating. The energy to adapt is the energy to, I think, is the energy to observe the environment and blend to the environment or cope with the environment in whatever means. But innovating is is more like rising above the environment or doing something to change, or the energy to make a difference in spite of what is happening. Now, some people say that it's okay to adapt, and at times they say it's okay to innovate. When do we know when to adapt and when to innovate? Because they say some situations just warrant that you adapt, and others in other situations warrant that you innovate. So how do we know when to do these two things, when to adapt and when to innovate?
I think to be on the cutting edge of adaptation, you have to innovate. And to be on the cutting edge of innovation, you have to adapt. I don't think it's this or that. I think it's this and that. And the way we think is that oppression of the or. We always seem to be more comfortable to make a decision to interpret reality between the dichotomy created by or. And at that level, or is oppressive. I mean, OR, because it limits us to this or that. But there is the genius of the and, according to Porras and Collins, which they taught very well in the book Built to Last, which I encourage a lot of people to read, Jim Collins and Porras, Built to Last, and they made a case for the genius of the and I totally believe it. The idea that you don't have to have this or that, you can actually have this and that. So when you innovate at a level, you are going to have a lot of improvement going on to what is, because innovation in itself is horizontal expansion. It's horizontal progression. It is moving from one to infinity. It's moving from one to infinity. There must be one, and then you move from one. There must be something on ground that you are transforming or you are taking to another level for you to innovate. There is vertical thinking, which is 0 to 1. That's the one that created the world. It's not innovation that created the world. It's invention. It's creating something out of nothing. That is moving from 0 to 1. But moving from 1 to infinity is innovation. And in that, it's already, pretty much, I won't say flawed, but it's already, a form of matter already. It's no longer intangible, so to say. So what is then happening to that is, adaptation will be involved. You will need to adapt here and there as you innovate, And then in adapting, if all you want to do is adapt and not innovate, then what you are saying is correct. You are going to die, because it means that you are conditioning yourself to what is or what has been. But when you are, innovating, you are not conditioning yourself to what is or what has been. You are, moving what has been or what is to its necessary new level, So on that journey, there will be some form of adaptation, but a lot of innovation. But if you want to stay only adapting without innovating, then you have a problem. That's my response to that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I do,
Great.
and I think we all do.
Great.
Thank you so much, sir. The last question before you go. You're a mentor to a lot of people all over the world, and you give advice to some of the best minds, personally and in the corporate world. If you were to give yourself an advice, I mean, taking a look at in hindsight now, if you were to tell your younger self something, because I know that we have a lot of young people here that are trying to succeed, that are trying to build something. If you were to give yourself an advice, based on all the things that you have built, based on your experience and the people that you've counseled over the world, what would that advice be, sir?
Well, it's very easy. It's no brainer for me. I will have found God earlier. I found him quite late. I will have found him earlier and yield much, much earlier. I'm grateful for where I am, but at times I just I just get fascinated by the possibility of a different experience if I found him earlier. Maybe it won't be different. I'm not completely sure because I can't eliminate grace from my journey. But I would have loved to, if I have the chance to do life all over again, there's nothing like that really. But assuming there is, I will suggest to life that it made me find God earlier. If I found him not earlier, I will have loved to see what I will have been now. So that would be me. So I advise everyone out there, you know, you have 3 assets in life: your hand, your brain, under God. You know, get better in sharpening those things. Your hand, your brain, under God. Not one of them, not 2, the 3 working together. Your hands, your brain, under God. That's what I would say.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. I know that you have different mentorship platforms. Some are paid, some are free. In fact, some of the people here, including myself, are a member of your Telegram community. And so if people want to find you, get access to your materials, get access to your mentorship or the things that you do on a daily basis, where's the best place that everyone here can go and find you, sir?
Learn, Learn, learn.Kenneth, Kenneth, Shorian, Soryan, store.com. Learn.KennethShorianStore.com. Learn.KennethShorianStore.com. The products there are not cheap, but you find them very useful. I can assure you of that. Again, you can find me on social media. I'm there. Yes, sir. That's it. Learn.KennethShorianStore.com. Perfect. That's my stuff. Go there. And most importantly, if you ask me, what can you recommend on that platform? What can you recommend? I'll recommend 2 products for you. One, Creative Rebellion. Creative Rebellion. Find that product and pay for it. Creative Rebellion is going to challenge your life. It's going to force you out of where you are. It's going to create action for you real quick. So if you want one rapid disruption of yourself, you want to disrupt yourself real quick, then embrace 2 hours, Creative Rebellion. Then Borderlessness, 4 hours, 4 parts, 60 minutes each. Borderlessness. Get that as well, and get Creative Rebellion. Both of them will cost you approximately $100 or $120 something or something, but they will be worth it. All right, make that investment. And then you can find me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn, I am on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter as @Olakunle, @Olakunle, one word, @Olakunle. I'm also on YouTube, and a lot of my videos have been shared by different people on YouTube. So if you click my name, Olakunle, you will see a lot of videos will come out. My mentoring platform is, I have a free one on Telegram, which anyone can join, and I share my programs and a few ideas there. But also critically, my Global Republic, that one you just can't choose to join. You apply, and you'll be very patient because we apply. We're going to do your research and be sure that you belong to our community. But it's also paid. If you go to my website and click community, kennethshorian.com, and click community, or you click kennethshorian.com/community, you will see the website, and then you see all the different bouquets, and then you can apply. It is also being reinvented right now, but you can go there right now. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your delivery. It is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much, sir. And yes, that'll be all for tonight. Everyone, we have a couple of people that qualified for the grants. I'm going to call your names real quick, and I'm going to tell you what to do next. The first person.
Sorry, Olabanji Stephen, can I interrupt you? I just want to take my permission from Pastor Uche to leave. Thank you, sir. Again, I celebrate you. I thank you for your love, for your solidity, for your consistency over the years. I'm happy for all the lieutenants and the Aarons who come around this work. I know that you are offering comfort and inspiration to so many people across the world. I thank you for your courage to put yourself out and to sacrifice all of what you have and know. I thank Madame so much for her support and all the great people who work behind the scene. Sister Angela, thank you so much for your strength. and for your support. We love you. I love you personally. And I know everybody on this platform appreciate you and celebrate you. Thank you for your support. Thank you all, everybody behind the scene. I'm sure we'll be back next year. Thank you so much. One love, by God's grace. Amen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, PK. God bless you, PK. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everyone. Okay, so you can go back to muting your mind. So I'm gonna name the people that qualified for the grants. I mentioned 3 earlier this morning, but I'm gonna start from the top again. Okay, the first person is Kiri Milka, right, of Milka's Greek Yogurt. The next person is Usman Garba Ahmad of Lifaya Jari Patent Medicine Store. Okay, the third person is Oladosu Olumuyiwa of Craft Culture. The fourth person is Dr. Shepode, I hope I'm pronouncing that well, please forgive me, Okoni of the Sport. All right, the next person is Onothoja or Reva Ogene Joseph of Dreamvert Enterprise. The next is Aliyu Sadiq of Rice Milling. The next is Abdullahi Ahmad Nuhu of Jihadi Oil Mills Limited. The next is Amole Talob Olalekan of You Children's Learning Support. The last person is Mafe Oludari of Ibile Clothing and Textile Limited. Now we have like 2 to 3 other people under consideration, but if we finally do consider, we're going to email you. And just watch out for your emails and make sure that you're listening and you're getting whatever we send across to you. So that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. Now, if I mentioned your name, your pitch is going to hold on Saturday next week, okay? And we're going to put something out there, but your pitch is going to hold on Saturday next week, and that is on the 21st of November. Now, what I want you guys to do really quick before we leave is I'm going to post the link to our YouTube channel right here. And what I want you to do now is to go subscribe. We're going to post all the videos and all the audios, everything that is that has gone on throughout this conference. Just give me a minute. I'm putting it up now. So we're going to post all these things there, and we want you to subscribe to that channel so that you can receive the notifications when all these things go live. Okay, so that's it. Okay, I'm posting it now. Okay, so just do well to go ahead and rather subscribe to the channel. And the last thing before we all go is there's a mentorship platform that is run by Uche Onoche, the convener of Making Nigeria, and I think you want to be a part of it. Okay, it's on for a limited period of for just a limited time. So, and there's an end to the number that we're looking for, and so he's actively mentoring people, all right, to greatness. And if you want to be part of that mentorship group, you can. What it means is that you can reach him privately and you can have access to his materials. Some of them at ridiculous prices, and some of them are going to be coming to you for free. Okay. On top of the fact that you will have access to him to ask him questions, hopefully every week. So what you should do now is go to linktr.ee/Uche Onoche, and then there you go. You'd have access to him right there. To join the group, the WhatsApp group or the Telegram group, either way. If you've not been receiving emails from Making Nigeria, make sure that you check your spam, you check your promotions folder to make sure that you're receiving emails from Making Nigeria. Thank you everyone for being here. It's been a wonderful time with every one of you, with all the speakers. And this is not going to end. We're going to be having weekly sessions, which we're going to be announcing very soon. So what you also need to do is to follow Making Nigeria on Instagram, okay? Let's see if I can get the link down here. So you need to follow Making Nigeria on Instagram so that you can, and you probably should turn on your post notifications so that you can receive updates when we post many of these things. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I think what is left for me to do is to paste the link here so that you can. Okay, great. I got it. All right. So those are the links. You can just hit them and join or follow. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. So I'd like you to unmute and just say thank you to everyone, to say thank you to each other. So if you're muted now, just kindly unmute as we close the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to our speakers. Thanks to our
Everyone
panelists.
for
Thanks to
showing
every
Thank you
up.
single one
very
of
much.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It's
Pastor
been a
Yeah, thank you,
wonderful
Pastor
experience.
Coach.
Thank
We
you,
really
Lord.
are
Thank you,
grateful.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Thank
you. Thank
you.
you. God bless you.
Excited.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, everyone.
Mm.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
guys.
Thank you
Thank you
all.
for showing up. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Pastor Angela. Thank you very much.